How you guys doing? Thank you guys for tuning into the third episode of our podcast here. So I just want to give a big thank you to all of our followers and all the support that we've been getting, especially from all the content, especially since Sebastian's been back. He's been delivering great content.
Absolutely.
He's right over here. You guys can't see him, but we're going to give him a
all
round of
that
applause,
Sebastian.
making it all that happens. You know what I mean?
A lot of people have been coming in for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
People
to
bring
God.
their cars for pictures taken by
it's
Sebastian.
It's no longer where is Mike. It's where is Sebastian.
No, who's the media guy? I swear to God.
Yeah.
3-4 people so far in the past 2
really?
weeks. I swear to God.
Yeah.
First thing they say.
Yeah,
Who
it's the
takes
first guy
picture?
they see right here.
Yeah,
You know, man of the hour.
Yeah, eight-
So he's blushing right now.
He's blushing. He is. But we
likes
know
it. He likes
we
it.
love the support.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's unreal. We just had a guy from Pennsylvania come up. My man Tamir. We appreciate the kind review.
And he's coming back.
And he's coming back. He's coming back, and it's all the way from Pennsylvania. He had actually got his car towed, $500 to tow it all the way from Pennsylvania to here. And unfortunately, we figured it out. And honestly, probably about 30 minutes or so, it was just a bad coil that another shop put in. They just put a cheap coil in.
They're on the
You
right
know,
track.
we're gonna have more videos about this stuff, but I will tell you guys, you cannot put cheap parts in Mercedes, and that's what we're trying to showcase here.
We see it all the time.
You know, like you can just type in Mercedes-Benz coil, and yeah, I'm sure one's gonna pop up for $20, but you got to look at the list price on what a Mercedes part is. If it's $300 and it's selling and you can buy a cheap one for 20, I'm telling you right now, it's just not gonna work. It's
You're going to notice immediately the difference.
immediately.
Well, because we're going to get a call.
And so, Tamir wrote us a long paragraph about what was going on in his car. And I get these all the time. I get emails from all around the world, Poland, Dubai, whatever. They can't figure this stuff out. And it's getting to this point where it's like, it's getting very difficult to diagnose these cars without, we need to see them.
Yeah.
He wrote me a laundry list, and I'm like, to me, if they did all these checks, I'm like, then why can't they find the problem? I mean, you got to misfire. I mean, there's a list of games, man, and there's a list of players, right?
Games and players, and they were on the right track.
They
I'll
were.
give them that, but they, unfortunately cheaped out. And
Right.
who knows if it was a shop or somebody else,
Right.
but
Right.
it didn't work out.
Right, didn't work out.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
But
And so,
if at the end of the day, you put a quality part in,
right.
it would have been fine.
But I think what Tamir loved about us was really the communication.
100%.
Oh, he said that
100%.
multiple times.
Absolutely.
Multiple times, and it's like everybody is saying the same exact thing,
But
which
he
is
did,
great.
Yeah, he did more.
It's
work
almost
in
as
the
if
coil
he was
packs.
here with us through the whole process because the communication was just there.
Right.
And he knew the entire way along the way what was going on with his car.
Exactly.
And he had that confidence. And I think the communication it directly relates to confidence in service. So if you provide good communication to people, they're going to have that confidence with you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like I said, he brought it. He towed the car to us. It came off the truck, and within probably about 45 minutes, I'm like, in my head, I just was like, this just doesn't seem right to me. So me and Joel pulled it in, and we looked, and there was like a piece missing, and I'm like, all right, there's like a the protector that protects the spark plugs and stuff.
Yeah, the foam.
Yeah, the foam. It was missing on one side.
Ooh.
So we're looking at it, and we noticed that the coil, the boots, they were like the old version boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you
I'm
saw
like,
them.
huh.
Yeah, and then they're like, I'm like, huh. And I think honestly, I will say this. So Baru used to be the supplier for Mercedes, but they have a Chinese version, and then they have the German version, I believe. I think. I don't know if it's German or Italy or wherever it is, but they have a Chinese version, and those are the ones you don't want.
Right.
But if you buy a coil and it's got the older styler, coil, body on it, then you the boots,
Absolutely.
you don't want them.
Nope.
You don't want them.
Nope.
But so Mercedes for the longest time they went on back order for the coils.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you were at the dealer, what were they buying?
Beats me.
They were
Well,
buying.
at first it was O'Reilly's.
And then what was happening with those?
Oh, I
ones?
put one in and it caught on fire.
What?
Yeah, I came back a week later and they said it's misfiring again. And I'm like, all right, let's take a look. I pulled the air boxes off, look at the coil pack, and it's melted. And I went up to the parts manager, said, I'm not using these again because this is going to set someone's car on
So
fire.
this was in a dealership setting.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any choice.
Right. You
know?
don't have, when you're at a
And then we
dealership,
started getting the OE equivalent.
Right.
After
So
that.
I've never heard of that happening in a dealership setting. An alternate part other than Mercedes was used.
It happens.
Yeah, on
That does happen.
yeah. I mean, I believe it was clients' request too, because it was either that or
Okay.
let their car sit.
I've never even
for-
heard of that either. Even if a client requests an outside of Mercedes part at a dealership,
Yeah,
that does happen.
You would think it'd be a better quality part that was picked, but I mean, I'm not in the parts department.
Right.
You know, I was looking at it, I'm like, this is what it is. This
You
is
can
what I
only
was
deal with
given.
what you're given.
That's how dealership tech works. You
Right.
kind of get the part. It's kind of what it is.
Right.
You throw it in.
So from a technician standpoint, when you receive a part such as that and you open it out of the box, what are your first initial thoughts? Is this just going to be a bunch of extra steps?
Well, obviously,
do you want extra time? Like,
no. I mean, it was still an ignition coil pack that bolted right up.
right, for example.
The problem was it's like nothing else I can do about it. This is the part they gave me, and I knew the actual OEM part was on back order, so I put it in.
Okay.
And then when it caught on fire and melted the connector, I was like, I'm not putting another one of these.
And that's not your fault.
No,
at all.
it shorted internally.
Right.
And
That's not
I
your
was
fault.
like, I'm all set. And when I first put them in, I was having a problem, before it even left. So, and I replaced one that was already new. So yeah, when it came back a week later, I'm like, I'm not doing another one of these.
Right.
I'll catch a car on fire.
Right.
And I'm not doing that.
It's dangerous.
So long story short, please
Quality
stop
parts.
buying Mercedes parts from AutoZone
Right.
or whatever. You can do that, but just make sure it's the OE equivalent. For an example, Bosch. So the reason why these coil packs were on back order is because they were changing manufacturers. So it was Beru, but now it's Bosch. And what we stock is we stock all Bosch coils. Now, we could get you a Mercedes coil, but it's going to be $150 versus a Bosch coil is say $80, $85.
Exactly.
So it's
OE
half the
equivalent.
cost, but it's the OE equivalent. It's Bosch is who makes the Mercedes part now, and you can just tell the quality difference. It's night and day. When you get the Beru Chinese version, like you saw those, they got the older boots on
Boots,
it.
they're thinner.
The writing on it, the color, the coil, and
Very
his
glossy.
brand new coil was causing this misfire, and the shop didn't know that. But
Wow.
a shop like us that specializes in say just Mercedes, is we know that cheap quality parts just doesn't get us anywhere, and that's why we don't put it in.
Gets us cars that come back.
Right.
Right.
We don't have time to make fix our issues that you know what I mean. It's
Exactly.
It's just one of those things.
And that takes us to a new avenue that Mike and I spent probably, I don't know, what did you say, about 2 hours figuring out? And that's that OEM filters, that are produced exactly the same way, for instance, like oil filters. Right. We compared the MAN filters, for instance, to the Mercedes-Benz filters, and there is no difference.
Right. Well, why that is I mean, you got the manufacturer. Mercedes doesn't make any parts.
Right.
So you got,
sub
for an
that.
example, you got the 272, 273, 112, 113 oil filters, right?
Yep.
They're all made by MAN. You pull up Mercedes tab, it's got a Mercedes stamp and a MAN stamp.
Yep.
So everything's packaged the same. It's just a different box.
Even the same
plas-
directions are
Yeah,
inside.
the plastic and everything's the same. It just has a MAN stamp, but no Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
So, that's just how the world works,
So-
unfortunately.
Now, someone might ask this.
Yeah.
So, should you use a Mercedes-Benz filter to stay in warranty?
Well, why would you? I mean, it's the exact same part. It's the OE
Made by the same
equivalent.
manufacturer.
It's
It's
made
like-
by the same
It's one
manufacturer.
of those questions, like along the lines of, if I bring it to you guys, will my car be covered under warranty still?
Well, it's just explaining the difference. It's just there's no difference.
Right.
Yeah. The only
It's just
difference
how
is
you
price.
look at it.
In
But
all
if
honesty.
you want the Mercedes-Benz oil filter,
Right.
With the little stamp on
we
it.
got
Yep.
it. We'll give it to you.
Oh, we have
It's just like
we
the
have it
spark
all.
plugs.
Yeah.
This is like the spark plugs on the V6s and everything like that.
Mercedes versus Bosch.
The Mercedes ones are now listing at $32 a spark plug. Now think about a V8, 32. That's why the dealerships are at $700 to get spark plugs done.
So all we're trying to do is just explore different avenues to save people money for the same exact part that
Right.
they would otherwise get
Right,
without the
absolutely.
Mercedes-Benz stamp.
Absolutely.
But
Like-
also explaining it to people.
And then from a technician standpoint, how do you feel about those parts? When you receive them on an RO, what do you think? What are your first initial thoughts when you say receive for instance, a Bosch ignition kit?
I mean, they
versus
look the same.
Mercedes, yeah.
They look if I take a Mercedes one and a Bosch one, they look exactly the same. And we've had no problems with them so far. So I'm more than happy to put them in.
Right.
It's not a big deal. I see why I see why obviously the dealership doesn't do it because they're not going to sell aftermarket parts.
Well, they're a Mercedes brand,
Right.
so they have to
they
say
have
They
to
have
sell
to,
them.
yeah.
But that's-
So I can't like
they
fully
pay
blame them for
they
that.
pay money to get that stamp on that part.
Absolutely.
So they
But
gotta
I'm
sell
saying
their
like
part.
absolutely.
Right.
I 100%
Right.
get that.
Right.
But I can't fully blame them for having to use Mercedes-Benz parts, So I get that.
All right,
Give
so
me-
I
give
have
me
a
the
question.
But I'm going to regularly use Bosch parts here
Right.
if we have to, because it's OE equivalent.
Exactly. So
I'm just saying, I'm not trying. No, we're not putting anybody underneath the knife today.
Right.
right.
So you're telling me if you have your car has a Bosch alternator in it, you're gonna put a Mercedes-Benz alternator or a Bosch alternator?
Well,
in it?
am I putting it in myself or am I bringing it to somebody?
You're bringing it to somebody and you're putting it in yourself.
If I'm going to the dealership
Yeah.
or if I'm bringing it to an independent.
If you're bringing it to an independent,
Yep.
you want a Mercedes one in there?
No, I'd probably get a Bosch. It's cheaper. No, I see why
is it cheaper?
we do it
Is it the same part?
because it doesn't have the
Is
name.
it the same part?
Could be.
What do you mean it could be? You got a printer. All it does is just print an extra
Right.
label.
It's OE equivalent.
No, it's
I'm-
the exact same alternator. That
Sometimes
alternator
it's
you
funny.
put in a
Sometimes
loaner
they're
car.
scratched. Sometimes the part number's scratched on the
Yeah, why
casing.
is that? Because they don't want to reprint
Oh
it.
yeah, no, I get
It's
that.
easy to just go, you know what? Just take this alternator out this
If it was-
Mercedes box
yeah.
and put it in the Bosch box and scrape the label
If it was my
off.
Benz, I'd be paying for like a Bosch one, 100%. It's cheaper. It's the same part, 100%.
That's all I needed you to hear. You hear
So
that?
I do
You
have a
need
question
me
though.
here?
With this on this topic,
Yeah.
what is Tex?
Well,
what are the
I need to
difference
hear that.
between aftermarket and OEM
Well,
for the viewers?
Usually, it's just quality.
Okay.
It's quality of the part, just like the coil packs. Like I've never heard of an OEM Mercedes-Benz unless something like wire shorted together. I never really heard of them catching on fire within a week.
Right.
It's
Not
the
an
quality
OEM
of parts, the circuit boards inside of the parts.
And they're put through the same
That's why
exact
it's cheaper.
testing as a factory part.
What, the aftermarket ones?
No, the OEM one.
OEM ones? Yeah.
Aftermarket versus OEM here,
Right, exactly.
So I feel like the aftermarket stuff
Yeah.
is going to be your stuff that you get at AutoZone, and that's the stuff that the car
Right.
wasn't really tuned for. The OEM stuff has already been pre-approved for that.
It's
Already
just in
testing.
my eyes, it's just better quality.
Right.
It could be off, like
Right.
amperage or whatever, but I will say there's some certain sensors for sure, like O2 sensors. You got to go OEM with that. Type
Yeah,
of
you
stuff.
do.
So what is
Certain
OE?
parameters.
Well, so what does OE stand for? and
Original
what does
equipment.
Original
OEM
equipment, yeah.
What does OEM stand for?
Original equipment
equipment
manufactured, something like that.
You know what I'm saying? Aftermarket is just its own different category.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I mean,
fall
we
under
could
any
talk about
We could talk about this all
day.
day,
I'm
all
just-
day.
But I think
Right.
what we're trying to do is emphasize to our viewers that
Right.
you want to go for the OEM stuff, OE at least.
right.
Yeah, it's honestly, to people that don't fully know, it's a confusing topic.
It is a confusing topic. I've had a
And
call all week about this from
Exactly.
someone who just bought a C300 and who's had consistent misfires. Well, I inquired, and they said that they were provided parts from it was some third party, and it wasn't Mercedes or it wasn't FCP Euro or anything like that. So I said, okay, well maybe we could look back at what parts you put in, and that turned out to be the issue.
Right. I mean, it happens. Sometimes you can get away with aftermarket stuff.
You can.
Sometimes you can. It depends on what it is, and that's why
You
give.
can't say that on our podcast.
I'm just saying. Sometimes you can
We
get
will
away with
never
that.
put
outta here.
aftermarket
I'm telling you
in
right
this
now,
building.
you throw all that aftermarket stuff out.
aftermarket,
It's
it
either
doesn't happen
OE
in here.
equivalent stuff. You need to be dealing with manufacturers that actually make parts for Mercedes. I wouldn't know
So what's
what.
the difference between OE equivalent and aftermarket?
What do you mean? It's the original equipment. So that's what came in the vehicle.
I'm just saying, when I think of aftermarket, I
OEM
think
is
of anything that's
aftermarket.
not Mercedes-Benz. That's when I say aftermarket, that's what I mean.
Yeah, well, you need to get that whole dealership stuff out of you.
All right.
Yeah, way out of you. Because that's
Bro's
like
a
dealing.
bro's a shop owner. And
Yeah,
thinks
well,
he
I'm
knows
just-
everything about parts.
Well, I know a lot more.
A little
just
bit.
saying.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Here they go.
Either way, for us, especially because we do a 2-year. Hold on. We have we put quality parts, and number one, we don't want it coming back.
What?
Number two is because we have our 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty.
Yeah, and who has
Yeah.
to pay the person? Who has to pay you to do it twice? I do.
Yeah, but you can usually make a claim, like with Worldpack or whatever, right? To get
Yeah,
for
well, it's
labor.
a pain.
It
For
never
labor.
happens.
At
It's
a local
100% a
dealership,
pain.
it's a pain.
That's why we want to put
Yeah, they
quality
question
parts
me
in.
and they actually
It never
like,
happens.
oh, did you install it right?
Right. Yeah.
How many foot pounds?
I did install it right. Thank you.
Well, you don't install
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
It's me or Joel.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. My guys, whoa, you know what? Next time I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to go ask Adam if he installed it right.
Yeah, you should.
I'm gonna ask you,
It's a good
did you
question.
install it right?
Tell me, Adam, what was the procedure?
Anyways, yeah. So we do
Service
have a
advisor
warranty. Right. We do have a warranty here, and that's why it's just crucial to use quality parts, and that's why we do it. And like I said, I always tell our customers, we always look out for them. Like, for an example, we had a Sprinter and needs a tailpipe. Now, he can take it to a exhaust shop, get it re-welded, and do all that fun stuff. We don't do any welding here. We're just pretty straight, right to the point.
Factory maintenance.
Factory maintenance. We're right to the point. We don't have, a freaking, what is it? Pipe bender. We don't have a pipe bender. We don't have a welder, and we just don't need to be set up for that because we don't really do that type of stuff.
No, not really.
Now we do deal with some rust, but unfortunately, like what's cool about what we have right here is right next to us is a fabricator. So
Yep.
Yeah, it
if
works
we
out.
do need something quick welded, like we could get it done. But as far as bending a pipe, putting it in, it's just take it to an exhaust shop. You're going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, and even
But-
the dealers like that.
Right. No,
A
even the
lot
dealership.
a lot of independents are
Right.
that.
Like that. Yeah. It's just like
Exhaust is, it's
right.
another
Sometimes
thing.
they get a little crazy. So
Yeah.
on the sprinters, the tailpipes, they rust out all the time. And yes, we do fix sprinters. It's on our secret menu. I don't talk about it, but we do them. And the rear tailpipes, they're expensive. They're like $300. And then like aftermarket, you hear that? We get them aftermarket because I don't even know who the OE equivalent maker of a pipe is.
I don't know.
Right.
But we do get those ones. We can get them aftermarket. And honestly, they're identical. And like I said, we put that on, and it's half the price is $325.
And we just had a client we did that for.
And we did. But originally, what did we do? We originally quoted on the Mercedes tailpipe.
We did, and then we were able to procure from our new parts vendor,
Right.
an exhaust pipe that was much more cost effective,
Right.
and we were able to present that to the client, and
Right.
they were very happy. It's the same quality,
Right. So we're talking about a warranty, 2 years, 24,000 mile warranty.
Yep.
Now, we got a lot of customers that try to supply their own parts. And what we find, all right, I'm going to ask you
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
When customers supply their own parts, what is the percentage of those parts actually being right?
Ooh,
This is
Oh, yeah,
question
this
for you.
To me, it's always been 50-50.
50-50. Now, this is coming from the technician. All right.
But
so
I'm usually comparing it before I put it on the vehicle. It's
Yeah.
just what
Okay.
you have to do because I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, you
all
have to
right.
think ahead.
So 50-50. Now I'm going to go over to my guy, Zach. Basically sells all the work here.
Yep.
What is your percentage?
I'd say about 75% of the time we get the wrong parts.
Okay.
It's
so he says
it's
75.
it's a lot of the time where clients, they think they find something on Google, they think it's their solution, they
Right.
found it for cheaper. It's typically aftermarket, and then we go to put it in if it looks right,
Yep.
and guess what? Lo and behold, it doesn't line up at all.
So this is one thing that I'm going to say is most shops have a warranty. So for example, right now ours is 2 years, 24,000 miles. It will be going up, but we also buy some parts from the dealership. So we also have the dealership's warranty, which is 2 years unlimited miles. And so what I can say is basically when you supply customer supplied parts, those parts aren't under warranty.
Nope.
You can't warranty them.
So for
you
an
don't know how they
example,
got them.
you
You
put
have
a-
no control over it.
Right. So for an example, a customer buys an R-nut strut online.
Yep.
Right, and it plugs in, so it has the dampening valves and everything on there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a remanned R-nut strut,
R-nut
right?
strut.
Which, might I interrupt you? They have started introducing new ranges of models. Like,
Right.
for instance, their air struts. I purchased new air struts from them, which is a new option for them.
Right.
But continue.
So we put the R-nut strut on.
Regardless.
We put it all together. We plug it all in,
Didn't
and
go
now
right.
it's got a fault for the solenoid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Dampening
most of
valve.
the time they don't, from the dampening valve.
Yep.
So most of the time they don't rebuild those. I mean, I don't know what they do, but
And guess
I'm
what?
not gonna.
You know what the kicker was?
What's that?
Remember?
But, no,
was
I'm
about-
not talking about that one.
No, I'm just saying, like, an aftermarket part, it was more expensive than the OE one. OEM.
I've seen that multiple
Exactly.
times.
And I
For
always
instance,
tell customers
OEM.
you need to
Yeah.
stop thinking that every time you supply your parts it's going to save you money because
Right.
for an example, we just put that R-nut strut in. Now you have to pay us twice. And when you have to reorder that part, you're going to have to buy that part again and then return it and wait for your credit back from that part.
Right.
So it's like you're waiting so long for all that money back.
At least call us first.
Now, think about this. If you got that strut, it would have been probably, if you got a Mercedes strut, it would have been cheaper. And if, say, if it needed a solenoid, it would have got covered and everything would have been wiped. You wouldn't have to worry about anything.
No faults.
You might have been down a car.
Yep.
But,
Worst
you know,
comes to
depending
worst.
on
Might have
where you're
taken more
bringing, you got
time.
loaner cars, you got, you know, it's just, you really have to think about when you bring parts to a shop. Now, most shops don't even accept customer supplied parts.
Right. We like to help people out.
We
so
like to help people out, so we'll do it.
if we have reasonable
but,
confidence in what they're providing, we'll do it.
But I'm straight to the point, and I just tell you how it is. And if I know for a fact that we could have got that cheaper, I'm going to tell you right off the bat.
Yep.
And
Like
it's
today,
no
I was quoting
disrespect.
out brakes, and I found out that the Brembo brakes and any other aftermarket, even Akebono, for instance, was actually more expensive than the Mercedes-Benz brakes, and
Right.
which were star parts, but still.
But there's a reason why those star parts came out. It's discounted brakes, but it's
And
basically
they're
the
of the
same quality.
same quality.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is what I mean is like sometimes you just believe me when I tell you, if you're doing business with us, I'm telling you right now, we spend hours and hours trying to find the best solution for the car. Well, look,
Yeah.
all right, these Mercedes brakes are way too much.
Yep.
For example, an S63, $2,000 a front rotor, $2,000 a rear rotor. All right. We'll look for the best solution. If we can't find anything, we'll tell you, you're going to need rotors. This is how much it costs. This is what it is. We try to find solutions.
Yep.
You can put these brakes on, but I'm telling you right now, they come from China, so it's a hit or miss. But you don't buy a, you know, $200,000 S63
Right.
to put some Chinese $100 brakes on it.
Right. And there are so many different brake packages out there. You could have two S63s parked next to each other. They have completely different brake
Right.
packages.
Absolutely.
You know, we get a lot of calls, you know, people buy these cars and, you know, they have all these different brake packages, all these different options and you know, suspension packages. And people buy these cars and bring it to us post-purchase inspection. And then they're sticker shocked. You know, it's almost as if, you know, obviously we find everything that we see that needs to be replaced. But you know, they buy their first Mercedes. You know, they're thinking, you know, oh, you know, it passes inspection. You know, it's going to be good enough. And then we give them a quote for front brakes, for instance. And you know, honestly, the cheaper parts sometimes are the star parts by Mercedes. And front brakes can be $700 to $900. You know, for your basic vehicle. You know, E class, E350, E550, depending on the options. Like I said, you know, just one front strut on this individual example was $1,000. You know. And it's just people don't have the knowledge, honestly, and no fault to their own of what they're getting themselves into. And these dealerships, you know, I'm not saying any dealership in particular, but will sell a car under the presumption that it's good to go. And then our job is to resolve what they kind of have left on the table but unannounced. And that's, I think, one of the most complicated parts of our jobs is how we present that.
Right, and I think when you're saying that, because I think people might mistake it because we talk about dealerships a lot.
Right.
We're talking about like used car dealerships.
Used car
because-
dealerships,
used
you
dealer.
know, and you know, they're all doing their own thing. Some of them are mom and pops, you know, and all the power to them, in all honesty. And they have their own operations and their own ways of doing things, their own prioritization for their own clients, and again, all the power to them. But what we do is we take that kind of to the next level.
Right. And I will say my biggest tip, my biggest tip is if you're going to buy a Mercedes, please at least bring it to a local shop that specializes in, say, Mercedes.
They have to
or
specialize.
know Mercedes really well. And if you feel that, you know, they don't know it and you don't have anybody around you that may specialize in just Mercedes, bring it to the dealer. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to pinpoint everything because we have this young lady, I would say older lady that just bought this E550 convertible with a laundry list of stuff, and it's got those struts, the dampening struts, and they're $1,000 a side.
And it's just the options it came with, you
Right.
know, and it's very expensive.
Right, and you go Bilsteins, they're even more money.
Yeah, the Mercedes were cheaper.
And this is what I mean is like you can't think that always Mercedes is going to be way more money.
Yep.
Now I say most of the time it probably is, but you always have to look for other options. But with these vehicles, like there's very limited options that you have, especially when it comes to struts and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So if you're gonna go buy a used Mercedes, I'm telling you right now, this is my number one tip: is bring it to a shop, and have them look it over really well. Because I promise you right now, if you were to go buy a 2012, 2016 E-Class, and they say it's mint ready to go, I promise you we could find something.
Front covers will be leaking.
Anything, honestly. Now, that doesn't necessarily fail safety inspection, and that's what a lot of people need to understand is like when you go to these used car dealerships, is like, it just needs to be enough to get a sticker.
Right.
Now, you could still have oil leaks. You could still have this that will cause other issues down the road that may cause some safety issues, maybe longevity-wise. But like I said, my number one tip is get those vehicles inspected.
Yes. And you know what? A lot of people, they think that the shortcut to that is just giving us a call and saying, hey, I have XYZ going on. Can you figure out what's going on for me so I can kind of negotiate that in the price? It's so difficult to do that because there can be 13 different things that contribute to one suspension noise or that going over bumps. You know, we have to have it here. And, you know, if the dealership is reluctant to release it, even within a small radius of from where we are to where the dealership is, you know, that's kind of a red flag. So just pay attention to those things.
Exactly. So I will say one of the biggest things right now that I've been noticing personally, I mean, I'm just going to say this from me.
Yep.
But I've just noticed that, you know, I hate to hit him with this, but there's a lot of shops now that are specialized in just say they're all European, so they specialize in all makes and models.
It's kind of like an umbrella term. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to hit in for anything because maybe at one point they were, you know, fully staffed and everything, but I feel like the trade is dying, and I feel like the trade is basically coming to basically a specialty. You know, so it's very hard. For an example, if we just said we're a European shop, what is our strongest?
Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, absolutely.
Mercedes-Benz. So you bring us a Porsche and you say, hey, man, I got this going on at this speed at this time.
Yep.
But what are we going to do?
I mean, we can try to
we'll
figure
look
it
into
out.
it.
We can figure it out, but it would take a lot more time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And this is what I think that a lot of people need to understand is like that's what separates us, say, from everybody. Right. Now, we want to fix a BMW. We know we're not going to fix it as fast as that BMW shop down the road.
Right.
And so this is...
And that's why we refer to them to our BMW partners, you know,
right.
our other independent shops in the area that specialize in these things. You know, we don't want to waste anyone's time, anyone's money.
Right. And we'll tell somebody
That's
straight up, if you need, you know, you need a, I don't know, say camshaft adjusters or a camshaft or, you know, bearings on your BMW, we're instantly going to tell you to go to another shop, and we're going to refer you to a great BMW shop, just say down the road. Or,
right. Exactly. And it comes down to like our last topic. I mean, a lot of special tools.
A lot of special tools, everything like that. But I think another thing that's really getting tough is just the trade is dying. You know.
It is. Why is that, though?
Why is that, Adam?
Why is that?
This is an Adam question.
No. I mean, I think honestly, it's just like we don't all have. There's a lot of things, but I don't think we all have the answer to it. Now, I think we have.
It's all different.
There's a couple different small, quick answers. I think cars are getting more complicated. It takes a lot more to get into the trade.
Right.
But I think maybe you could add some insight on that.
I mean, a lot of people are under the like. A lot of people think that it's a poor paying field,
right?
And it's a lot of work. You know, I will say maybe like 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago, maybe it didn't pay that great.
Right.
You know, today it pays good.
Right.
You know, but again, you have to know what you're doing.
Right.
You know, you can't just walk into it and expect six figures.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to be a literal automotive doctor.
It's like I say, it's a computer on wheels.
It is.
You know, and it's just what it is.
Right.
You know, why it's dying. A lot of people, you know, oh, you don't want to get your hands dirty, la la la. Could be true, you know. A lot of people, like a lot of kids, want to go into the tech industry now,
right?
You know, and because you can get paid big money and quote unquote sit on a computer. You know, it's probably not what they just do, but that's what this general like stigma is for tech.
No, absolutely.
You know, and just blue collar in general is kind of going down, I'd say.
Right.
Overall, I don't think it's just automotive.
What I've noticed from a lot of people is everybody's getting lazier.
Yes.
Laziness.
But I'm like, I
don't
try to
know what that means, though.
I don't know what that means either.
Well, I think that means in terms of hands-on labor. I think people are just more reluctant to get themselves more invested hands-on work versus like, you know, for instance, sitting in a cubicle and working your way up through the ranks, you know, which is honestly a very respectable career.
Well, let's be honest.
That's just a difference in opinion. It's a difference in, you know, what I think societal stigmas are. You know, and I think that a lot of people think, okay, well, if you work with your hands, you don't make a lot of money. Well, that's incredibly
It's a stigma.
wrong.
It's a stigma.
Exactly.
You know, I know plenty of people that make $200,000 a year doing automotive in
Exactly.
the automotive industry.
You don't hear about them talking about it.
Yeah,
They don't want to talk about
They
it.
don't want to talk about it. They want to keep it a secret.
Exactly.
You know?
Kind of, yeah.
But are they happy?
Not all of them.
It
Some
depends
of them
on where
are.
they're working,
It
I
depends
feel
on.
like.
It's not
What
all
do you
about
think
money.
what do
It's
you
not
think the
about money.
percentage is?
Who make that kind of money?
Yeah, do you
Probably
think they're happy?
in the whole country? Oh, about happiness?
Yeah.
Some of them are. Some of them aren't.
What's
I'd
the
say
percentage you'd say? Give me a percentage.
Probably, I don't know, 40% people are happy, I'd say.
What makes
You know,
them happy?
A lot of times they're too, let's just say, because I mean, a lot of people know that technicians are flat rate.
Right.
You know, so if they're making that type of money, they're almost open to close every day. You know, so if they have families, it's
So you
going to
think
make
it's
them
more of a
not
pay
happy.
structure thing that makes them unhappy?
A lot of people don't like flat rate.
Right.
A lot of people are kind of scared to go for flat rate.
How did you
'Cause-
feel about it?
Well, I was like hourly before and then flat rate with a guarantee. So I was worked into flat rate full time.
Gotcha.
You know, I feel like that's probably the way to go. But at the end of the day, if you're flat rate and you have a slow week, you only make 20 hours. That's all all you're coming home with at the dealership.
Right.
You know, unless you come into an independent shop such as MTech, you get a guarantee, but that's kind of rare.
Right.
You know,
It is.
you need to find someone that really cares about their technicians to get that.
Now, here's what I think about that, and that's why it's a guarantee here. It's just like the amount of money that a technician brings to the dealership. There's no reason.
$1 million.
There's
Right.
no reason
Right.
why there's not a guarantee.
It's the
So
backbone
if
of the
there's any
dealership.
service managers or any service directors out there that, you know, runs a service department at a Mercedes dealership and your technicians don't have a guarantee, you should really think about it, because I will tell you
Any
right now,
dealership.
you're losing great techs to something so simple that you could bring to the table. Now, a great tech is going to bring you money no matter what. If it's a slow week, I really blame it on management at that point.
Right.
Because we know the
It's not the
dealerships,
tech's fault.
all the dealerships around here, honestly, they could be very, 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 very extremely busy.
Profitable. Yep.
And why is that? It's just because I feel like they're lacking certain things. You know, the transparency, you know what I mean? It's just like everybody has this certain perspective on the dealership. And
Right.
to me, that bothers me, because like I said, when I worked at the dealership, I had to deal with that.
Right.
You know, and it hurts. But why is that? And it's just, there's people not actually looking into why the dealerships are like this and look like this.
Right.
And there's people that are in position to not make a difference.
Right.
There's like, you
Yeah,
need
I mean, they're in it for a paycheck and whatnot.
They're
And
in it
like-
for a paycheck.
And you got, for instance, right, like for you, I know you, like, I was kind of in a similar boat at some points. You know, a lot of people, you know, I know there's techs while you're watching this, you know, a lot of techs say the better you get, the less money you make.
Right.
Why is that? Because you're going to get stuck with the diag.
right.
You know, you make less hours at the end of the day if you
Right.
just diagnose and stuff all the time and you don't get a single service.
Right.
You know, I mean, I know you've been in that situation.
Oh,
I've been in that
I've already
situation.
said that. I already knew that.
You
was
know,
like,
I know
remember?
you know
Yeah,
that, but you know, the folks want to hear, you know, why. So a guy comes in, you know, oh, he's 15 years experience or whatever, you know, he might be getting all the crap work, you
Right.
know.
I doubt it. Dude.
But
I would
there's
say
some
that the
places
guy that-
where there's
and-
kids come in and they get all the crap work,
Right.
and then the guys who've been there for 25 years get all the good work. Now, and then the good guy gets mad. Like I said, it all depends on where you're at and why the industry's dying.
right.
Okay.
And
so
then-
who is
yeah.
the individual that's more likely to leave the dealership environment and go to an independent? Is it going to be the person that's been there for, you know, maybe 3 years, or is it going to be the person that's been there for 10, 15 years?
Look, I think
And-
it all depends. Go ahead.
Now, is that going to be a structure of the dealership dependent, or is it going to be more so, you know, what type of work they take on?
I think any time a tech leaves a shop, it could be their personal choice, but it's also probably management's fault too.
Right.
You know, it
So it's
depends on
not
how
really
they're
a
treated.
money thing is what I'm hearing.
I know technicians that have been at the dealer for 35 years. Like I know, we used to work with him. His name was Ed.
Right.
He was best of the best
Right.
Mercedes-Benz technician in the country 3 times in a row.
Wow.
And you know
Think
what?
that. Think about that. He retired at the dealership.
Right.
And he was there the whole time.
Right.
Now, why is that?
And that I'm going to tell you
know?
one thing. One thing.
That's a
That
good
is
question.
one older guy that I've worked in 4 different dealerships. And that's one older guy that I'll have the most respect for.
Okay.
Because there's one
Best of
guy
the
that
best.
doesn't matter. He would tell you if he didn't know. Mm-hmm. And then
Oh,
you know what?
that's what made
He'd
him
go
great.
right back to his computer and he would just come back with a laundry list of stuff. And he's like, you know what, Mike? This did this because of this and that and this and that. And I'm like, wow, man. Like this guy actually cared about it and he was still that old. Like he still wanted to grow and be great.
Now, why is that?
honestly,
I personally, I think it was he still had passion.
Okay.
It's all
So it's a
about
sense
passion.
of the personality of who, and it really is more of a sense of
Right.
what their personality is
Right.
like before.
And
they
then
depart.
and then I know people that started off in the independent world and they've been there ever since.
So they really just have to have that drive.
Definitely.
I think it all depends on what you want in life. The independence, I feel like you have more flexibility for schedule.
Right.
And you kind of treat
But I
it
don't
more.
think
It's a
that's
family.
everything.
I know. And
It's definitely a huge
It's a
contributing
family
factor.
environment, and the dealership is good for, in my opinion, for kids starting out, so you can really learn and evolve and just learn the brand. you know?
So here's my
I
one.
feel.
So it's great. Then this is my biggest problem. This is what I saw when I worked in a dealership. All right, you're a young guy that walks in.
I know where you're going with this.
No, you're a young guy that walks in, and then you're just put next to a guy, and he's just bitching every single day. And then you're next to
Absolutely.
the guy to your left, and he's bitching every single day.
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
you got this guy bitching every
nobody wants to
single
help
day.
him.
Nobody wants to help him.
Yep.
And then you got a guy way over in the corner with his headphones on, doesn't care about anything but making money. And he's willing to help anybody in the world.
Yeah.
But that guy is not going to be the leader. He's not going. He's our highest producer. He's not going to be our leader. And then you got these two guys that is the leader and is the guy you have to look up to. And it's just like, this is why these young guys aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's like you said. People are put in place where they shouldn't be.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
just
that's
because they have
that is the biggest issue. I'm telling you right now, 10 times that is the biggest issue with all
Right.
these dealerships, and that's what I've learned from wherever I went. That's why I put my headphones on. Everybody remembers me when I was at the dealership. I had headphones on.
Oh, I remember.
I just block out all the noise.
Yeah.
Said the beats.
Beats.
Think of I always sometimes we don't really know him personally, obviously, but Dr. AMG.
Right.
He still works at the dealership.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure he's treated very well.
Yeah, he's treated very well.
Yeah.
He could. For damn sure, he could start his own shop.
Yeah, well, I asked Sebastian. I had
Exactly.
a one-on-one
You
talk
had a
with him.
one-on-one talk with him.
One-on-one talk
and
with
he,
him.
and he didn't want to do it, right? As of right now, right?
Oh, no, he did it.
We don't know his own plans.
No,
I
he
meant
didn't
the
want to.
shop.
Yeah, the shop.
But I'm
Yeah,
saying there's
I
a
got
reason why he's at
no
the
comment
dealership.
on that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
to me personally, it was
I think
just,
it's up to the person
Yeah.
about the independent
Yeah,
versus dealership.
that guy could take over the world.
Yeah.
Mercedes knows that. That's why these
Absolutely.
That's why he's partners with him.
Yeah.
Oh, he could
he
run
took
a
over
very
the world.
successful shop.
100%.
I don't know what type of person he is.
Yeah.
But just from what we see on social media side, he probably do pretty well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are also very scared of taking the leap. That's the type of guy
Absolutely.
that he's got everything in his plate. And my biggest thing, I'd say a message to him. A message to Dr. AMG. Listen, if you were to ever leave the dealership, just know one thing: you're gonna piss some people off.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to remember who got you there. Is the people that actually look up to you. And those are the guys that are actually going to take care of you and take you all the way. But I will say right now, we all know, everybody knows. I'd say probably 95% of his followers knows that if he took off and did his own thing, he'd kill it.
100%.
Yeah. And you know what?
And he'd have all the support in the world, I feel.
Right. Yeah, and Mercedes should support him.
I don't know.
You don't know, but that's because you work at the dealership, and that's
Yeah.
what you get when you leave the dealership. You get hate, you get all that. But
Yeah.
it's just like if you guys left, I would still support whatever you guys are doing. And that to me
Right.
is what makes a great person, and that's what makes great things happen.
Which
Yeah.
brings us to that question that
What?
that guy asked.
What's that? What did he ask?
Remember you said, how do you feel about other people having their own social media?
Oh yeah, how do I feel about my techs having a social media? I think that's important. If they want to have their own social media and showcase their stuff, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You're really showcasing what everything's about. Now, there's one thing that a lot of shops, if they follow me, I typically follow them back.
Right.
And because I want to be there, if they want to ask me a question, and if I need them for a question, I just think one of the biggest things in the dealership world is, when you're a new guy, it's very hard to know who to ask for questions, because sometimes you get a smart ass question, sometimes you get a straight up question, and sometimes you get a guy that's actually trying to help you, test you, which is great. So, but sometimes you just get that asshole.
Oh, yeah.
He'll just say, "Oh, this," and then he'll just look over you and grin and want you to mess up.
Right. Set you up for failure.
Set you up for failure. Why is that? You shouldn't even have any of those in the shop. I'm telling you right now, if I had one of those guys in the shop, I'd be like, "See you later."
Yeah.
You know what
Peace
I mean?
out, yeah.
Yeah, peace out.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't think anybody's really. Everybody has their goods, and everybody's got
Well,
their
why do they
bads.
get away with it?
Why do they get away? It's management. That's just how it's run,
Well,
and it's
how does-
because management doesn't know how to run it.
How does a technician that's like that has that type of attitude stay in a bay?
Typically because they're numbers, because all that matters is making hours. It doesn't matter about messing up all the time or anything about it. It's all about numbers. Yep. It doesn't matter about your CSI.
It doesn't matter if you're a team player. If you've got tunnel vision, you're making your numbers, you're good to go.
You're good to go. If you make numbers in the deal,
oh, you put your head down, you make your money.
They don't care if you're helping out the other tech next to you.
It's not even about like, oh, we're not, here to make friends at work. It's like, but you're also not there to make someone else's life harder.
Right.
If a new guy that looks up to you, has passion, wants to be in the field, and hey, I'm having trouble. I got this CAN network down, blah, blah, blah. What do you think?
Right.
I got my tips documents covered. I got this covered. What should I do? And you look at them and go, what, you don't know?
Right.
Yeah.
That discourages.
That's what takes people out. It
discourages
new
technicians.
And I will say that's one thing I'm telling you right now. I dealt with for so long in the dealership, and I was lucky when I worked in Texas that I had a shop foreman that basically guided me through things, and I had that guy next to me that was kind of like that. But my shop foreman would tell me, "You do it like this, do it like that," and then I'd do it, and then he would tell me why I did it like that, and then I'm like, all right. And if I had to ask twice, he would then stand me up on it, But can I ask you a question? Can we talk about that time when we worked at the dealership together?
Yep.
And what? How long were you in the dealership for?
When did you start? What year?
I don't even remember. I don't even care.
At that local. All right.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the camshaft?
Yeah, that's a way back in the. Yeah, I'm talking about the camshaft.
All right. So, what, you want to hear the story?
I want to give us a story. Kind of give them an idea.
So I was doing my first camshaft job on a M278, and
V8 twin turbo.
V8 twin turbo,
All right.
and it was on an S class.
All right.
And I was timing it up, and honestly, I got lost. I lost timing, and I instantly got nervous. It was probably my first year at the dealer, and I was doing this camshaft job, and I kind of was like, I kind of go up to the foreman, kind of go team leader, kind of got nowhere with that,
Right.
And then I'm like, you know what? This new kid named Mike came in. I heard him talking the game about M278 and 276 about timing, because I was shortly, because I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna make friends with everybody there, but I honestly loved talking to everybody that came in.
Right.
I was like, I want to get to know you. I'm like, where are you from? Like, I love hearing stories, and you know what? I'm glad I did.
That's a game changer right there.
It's like almost networking, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm like, you know what? I ripped the little gem we had over there, electric golf cart over. I'm like, hey, Mike, I got the 270. I'm doing a camshaft. You ever timed one of those? Mike just looks at me. He's just like, plenty of times. He said something like that. And I'm just like,
I
found my Messiah.
In my head, I was just like, thank God.
Yeah. I think something I said along the line, did you ask your team leader?
I feel like it was something along those lines.
I definitely threw that in there because I always had to do that because I knew that certain people that were in charge didn't know.
I think you did because you know what? I was just like,
I'm going to throw some
no
shade.
one wanted to help.
No, I know. And I knew no one would help.
And I don't really want to throw too much shade, but it was like,
no, I'm not throwing too much shade, but I have to let them know sometimes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I was like, I was asking a fellow flat rate tech that just showed up to help me time an engine.
Right.
Think about that. So I go up to you, you go over there, and we time it up. Took 5 minutes?
Probably.
We were just like,
wow.
Looks good to me. I'm just like, I'm looking at it, I'm like,
yeah.
So why is there absolutely no sense of team in the dealership setting?
It all depends on the dealer, man.
I wouldn't say there wasn't no sense of team.
At that time, it was set up horribly.
Yeah.
It's the current team leader. There's only one team lead at that time, and he was very awful.
So what you're saying is
that
that was
anything
an
about Mercedes-Benz.
uncommon situation.
Yeah, so they appointed team leaders at this certain dealership by experience, but it wasn't Mercedes-Benz experience. It was just like this certain guy worked at Chevy for 10 years, and he was team lead.
And that's different from dealership
and Mike
to dealership.
Remembers him. Yeah, I mean, the team lead, like Mike said, his shop foreman in Texas, right?
I'm gonna blow all that out of the water. This is what my personal opinion was. It wasn't about experience. It was about favoritism.
It could be that.
So it's politics.
That's exactly what it was. I don't care what anybody says. 100% politics. I don't care what you said.
Could be favoritism.
I called it a crew. It was a clique.
Right.
And that's why I kept my headphones on the whole time. Right. That's why I came in late all the time with my sunglasses on because I didn't care about all that.
The crew, the clique, whatever you want to call it, could be favoritism.
Oakley's and the Beats Dre. Because I'm telling you, dude, you lose so much respect. It's just like, why did I come work here? You don't even know where I was just working. I was just working with a bunch of legends.
Right.
you know, and I was just busting all of this, and I took a pay cut to go where I was. Nobody knew that, you know, and I was like, I had to bust my ass to show up. Now, like I said, I'm not, I just feel like,
So you kind of took a lateral
ham,
move, is what you're saying. Man.
yeah, lateral move, but it was just, like I said, man, it's just like, what we have here is really what I'm trying to express of what I believe that we were missing at the dealership. So like everything that we have here, man, is just the love, the pride, what we're showcasing, what we're talking about is exactly what I felt that I was missing and what I needed delivered to my guys. It's just like, it's huge what we have here. And I knew what could have been at the dealership.
Right. You recognize the shortcomings, and so did
there were
I
so many
recognize the shortcomings.
Right.
And you took
and we put it
advantage
all,
of it.
and we took advantage of it.
Right.
And then honestly, it's like everyone is blown away when they call us. For an example, the guy with the M. How many? Honestly, Zach, since you've worked here, how long have you worked here for?
I've worked here for 10 and a half months.
10 and a half months. All right.
Who's counting?
10 and a half months. And how many customers has praised you?
It's well, not just me. I don't even want to say me because everyone here provides a certain integral part of the experience that every client has, and I just happen to get the phone call for it. So I hear, I'd say honestly, on average, probably about half of the new, no, I'd say more than that, 75% of the new clients that we get all call us back. And completely disregarding their car or whatever else, they just call us to say thank you.
Right.
That's it. You guys did an incredible job. You provided us an experience that we've never seen before to a level of clarity that we never thought existed. So we got one of those today from one of our awesome clients with an older S-Class, and all he had to say was nothing but praise.
And tell me when you're talking about the S-Class one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Right,
yep. And you know, he brought the car to us. He's been bringing it to his local independent. And he said, you know, just the difference between, you know, you and what I've been used to is something that I never thought was out there that I could ever attain. And it's something that takes the dealership and it just brings it to another level of clarity that I really didn't think existed. And he just kept praising that.
And how old is he?
He must be, you know, I'd say in his 70s, you know.
And this is what I mean.
He gave me a hug when he came to pick up his
older,
car.
man. Even older, I feel.
Maybe, yeah. Him and his brother. Great guys.
This is a 70-plus-year-old saying this.
Yeah.
And one of our older customers is 94, and he gave us the same praise.
He did.
This guy's been around for 90-something years, and he's getting
He's had his own businesses. He's told us how he ran his own businesses. A matter of fact, we had a car yesterday from another business owner from way up north in New Hampshire, and he said the same thing. I've owned my own business. I know how things work. I know how communication is. I know how it's like running a team, but you guys have hit every nail on the head. And I'm not trying to like fluff us up or anything like that. This is exactly what he said verbatim.
Yeah, but we're proud of it. That's just like kind of like why we do this.
Right,
because we, again, work together and we all bring out each other's strong suits. And that's what the difference is between us and any dealership is we work with all of our strengths. We bring it all together as to one product that the client sees the moment they pick up their vehicle and they see that difference.
Right. No, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, man.
Yeah.
And that's what, like I said,
special.
That's what really separates us from everybody else. And that's what I mean. I don't mean the bash, but I'm talking about
bashing.
There's no bashing. It's
Everyone's
just
doing
more.
their own thing.
There's more of the shortcomings and understanding why, you know, these techs are leaving the dealership. It's just you're missing the most simplest things, you know. And I remember one thing right before I left. I remember I told one of the service directors because I told him I was going to leave, and he goes. So I told him, I was like, yeah, I just want to be a service director. They told me I was too young. They told me I wasn't ready. And I'm like, what makes me not ready?
Yeah.
What makes any of us not ready?
Background. I don't think age has anything to do with
team leader?
Team leader.
That's what I got.
That's what you got.
Yeah.
I got shop foreman.
I thought it was funny.
I got shop foreman, and then I got assistant shop foreman.
Shop foreman.
I got sprinter shop foreman, and then I got assistant, and then I'm like, oh, so when's that gonna happen? Oh, a couple of years.
A couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's false promises, you know.
I honestly, I never wanted to be a shop foreman, anyways. I wanted to be a service director. I want to run the whole department.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So what does it take to be a shop foreman versus like a service leader?
Like a director?
Yeah, like a service director.
So you know what a service director is?
It's someone that runs the entire service department. You know, that's from, you know, your A services to your, you know, transmission out jobs. You know, that's relaying all of that information and structure to your service advisors, I think.
The
Service director is a little different. And it's pretty much a white collar job.
Okay.
But it's not, she doesn't really stick around in the shop.
Okay.
You don't see him.
You don't see him. It's pretty much the overview of the whole dealership.
So they oversee every service
A lot of things.
experience.
It all depends.
So I would say this is the best role. My role is basically a service director.
Right.
Basically what I do is, you know how, for an example, like you're trying to sell a job and I explain it to you why you should sell it like this and why you should do it like that.
And there's a way to guide someone given their situation. You know, you have to kind of feel them out.
It's basically you set up the processes and then you basically get everybody in line and they have to all follow that process.
I see. So you set the stage.
You set the stage and then you got to have your guys, you know, follow the process.
I see. So what are repercussions like if you don't?
What do you mean?
In the dealership
Most service
setting.
directors are untouchable.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Untouchable.
So you're in with ownership. You're in with, you know, lead management.
They run the show, man. They kind of like the higher ups above them just don't even really look down that much. They look at the numbers.
I see.
You know,
It's
the
all the
first one to go
numbers.
is the service manager.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not the director.
If the
manager.
numbers are bad, service manager's
Yeah.
gone.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
this is just
It's not a service management is definitely not an easy job.
No. That's why I said I'd never want to be a manager. I'd be the first one out.
Yeah.
Even though
Service
I could
manager.
So the
just
manager
getting
gets the
screwed.
direct hit before the director.
Big
all
time.
day. I don't care. Well, all you service directors out there, I know I got like a couple that watch this because honestly, I got like a couple that I'm really close with, and honestly, they're good directors though.
Yeah.
Because they used to be techs.
Yep.
You know, and they understand the process. Most directors have been techs though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've been really good ones or not, or
Ferrari.
you know,
Yeah.
you're gonna beat that one out.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, no.
No one knows.
But yeah, no. So, you know, that's just one of the things. You know, you get a lot of these young guys. They're starting to see a lot of the politics. So I'm kind of going back on these younger guys.
Right.
All right, because honestly, I think this is the most important thing. Is just like, why is this trade dying? And it's one of those things that I've always paid attention to, and I paid attention to it before I started a business because I knew that this would help my business grow. Because I personally think that you're having a lot of guys that are leaving the dealership that are great, that are amazing, like the guys that are going to actually mold these young guys to be great.
Right.
And then you're keeping all the guys that are making it harder for these young guys to stay. Yep. One, because they're miserable, they're bitching about stuff. But those are the guys that aren't going to go anywhere.
Right.
You know, they're complaining because they're not going to make this type of money going to work at Nissan.
Right.
They know the specialty and they're just going to stay right there and they're just going to complain, and they're bringing these younger guys down and they're not helping them grow because, you know, they're picking and choosing what they want to take. They want to just take B service. They're dispatchers. They're taking whatever they want to take, but they don't actually want to be leaders and actually try to help people grow. Now tell me, when you were at the dealership, when you were a leader, what was your real biggest goal of being a leader? Was it actually being a leader or was it just having that role?
No, I just honestly, it was helping people.
Right.
That's really what it was. Just helping things move differently.
Right.
Okay.
Coming up with new ideas.
Yes.
It's exciting. You
But
know?
were you the difference in the crowd? Were you like the black sheep?
The black sheep?
Yeah.
Were you the difference?
Were you the
Were
difference?
that a
Yeah. Were you the
difference?
different one out of the crowd? Like, was
I
that
mean-
uncommon what you were doing?
You got to say
I
this
mean,
with
what
confidence.
do you mean by leader exactly?
Just a leader. You want to be a team leader. Like,
Right.
I mean, certain dealerships look at a team leader as different, but they
Well, I
just
mean,
look at it
it's-
as experience.
Right, exactly. It's not just experience.
It's not.
About, I feel like it's about how much you care.
How much you
And
care.
you got to realize that sometimes a leader makes sacrifices.
Right.
And that's just what it is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, you know, when I was leaving, a couple of guys said, well, when Adam leaves, who am I going to go to?
Right.
Right.
You know? Like there was
And that's
other team
honestly
leaders
sad.
in place and other
But he looked
people
up
in
to
upper
you.
positions.
But there
knows-
are people that feel like they
there's-
can't go to anyone
But I'm
else.
saying,
because
like,
you're
I
not
feel
there.
like just, you know, I wasn't even really like an official team leader. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
you
so
were
it's
just a
like,
resource of knowledge.
right,
that people
exactly,
felt
because I just
comfortable going
loved
to.
helping people.
Right.
You know, so it's one of those things where it's like, why did they feel uncomfortable going to those other people?
And that's the stigma that needs to be gone.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to say is you're just a game changer. You want to make things different. And I think that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
things that the dealerships are missing. And that's one thing that I feel like every dealership that I've been at, that's one thing that they've always lacked. It's like, give yourself like Mercedes-Benz knows the definition of a leader. And to me, they do 100%, because I've done all the training, and what Mercedes-Benz is really all about is just unreal.
Pioneering creativity.
Yeah, it's unreal. So that's what I'm trying to say is like, you know, a lot of these guys, that's why they're hopping out of the dealership. And it's just like, what can Mercedes do? What can all their Ford, Chevy, what can all they do? Because it's all the same at every dealership. It's not, it's just the politics. It's, you know, like I said, these younger guys, it's a 50-50 chance. I'm not hitting on all these younger guys. I think there's definitely a chance, but you have to be a go-getter, and you have to have tough skin, man.
Tough skin.
You got to take some BS.
Oh, big time.
BS.
I think it all stems to a lot of many things.
Right.
You know, I'd say one of the biggest things is passion, flat rate.
Right.
Because let's be honest, what do people bitch about the most?
Flat rate.
Time,
Everybody.
Time.
Yeah.
Oh, why did I not get this time?
Right.
Oh, I'm missing 0.2.
Right.
You know, why would I help a kid out when I'm not getting paid to help him out?
Right.
Right.
You know.
They're thinking for the individual themselves.
Right. Exactly. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah, think about the team.
Right. Exactly. But at the end of the day, you know, does it help their paycheck? Maybe. Maybe it doesn't. It all depends on where.
Right.
It all depends. Every dealership's different. You know.
Yeah. It's tough because when you get in there young, all you care about is
Right.
making money.
I think all
Exactly.
it boils down to,
But-
honestly, is recognizing excellence.
Right.
And if management isn't recognizing that someone's going out of their way to help everyone be successful in the dealership, then that's a fail point on management.
Right.
And I think that needs to be corrected. You know, I don't think that management holds themselves accountable
100%.
for some of these things.
They
So
don't.
when you're going
don't.
out of your way,
They blame
and
it
you're
on
going
somebody
out of your
else.
way- Yeah, they blame it on somebody else. It's just, it's a deferral of blame.
It's what do you always say? Accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Accountability is everything.
Think about it before you blame that tech. You think about it. Think about it. See, everybody knows. These guys know accountability. Before you come up with an excuse, you gotta have some accountability.
the
That's the
best way
thing.
of
You
learning.
can't really bullshit Mike.
Yeah,
You can't.
Yeah, he's 3 steps ahead of you.
You can't say, "Oh, this came loose,"
Right.
Because he knows it didn't come loose.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
didn't tighten
so
it.
yeah, just a message to all the young guys out there. Just keep it going. One little side note here: we talk about a little bit about education,
Yeah.
and one thing that we lose when we leave the dealership. What do we lose?
OEM training.
OEM training from Mercedes.
Yeah.
Now, so we all have a Mercedes-Benz number
Yeah.
because we worked at Mercedes.
Yep.
Now, my thing is how do you feel about not having access now to training? Like, how do you really feel about that?
I mean, it definitely sucks.
Right.
You know, because the OEM training is just exactly what you want.
Okay.
You know, they use the STS. It's obviously instructors that care a lot about Mercedes. It's not just like, oh yeah, they do BMW, Porsche too. It's strictly Mercedes. It's just like us.
Right.
Yep.
You know, it's a whole different environment. You know, if you ever been to any Mercedes-Benz training, learning like center or whatever.
Now,
what
do
I
you
call it, it's
feel
great.
that by Mercedes just keeping it to only dealer personnel is making it tougher for the automotive industry?
Big time. I mean, they could totally, open it up to independents because they have body shops, collision centers doing it that are Mercedes-Benz certified.
Right.
So is Mercedes the only brand that does this? Like, does
Oh,
BMW?
I'm
do
not
this?
entirely sure.
No, I think BMW has courses too, and I think it's set up. It's very similar to just like Mercedes. Now, this is where I say Mercedes is always about being the best and separating themselves from the rest. They
Yes.
spend a lot of money in a lot of places. Now, this is what I personally think. I personally think that they should open up the schools to the public. Now,
Makes their brand more accessible.
now it's not somebody can just get off the couch
Period.
and just go to this course.
Right, I think it's gotta
they
be
need
some
to go.
stipulations.
They need
Yep.
to go through certain courses. But
Or even if they've
you're-
been at the dealership at one point in time.
right, but
if
your
they have a
guys
number.
that say left the dealership but still want to stay up to date. Yeah, they work at an independent, and you know what? These Mercedes, they want everybody to work at the dealership. But unfortunately, these dealerships just aren't run the way they should, and they're not run the way that Mercedes wants it run.
And people
I
don't
feel
even
it.
consider going to them as a service alternative. I think that by having all these other, making it difficult for people to service their Mercedes makes more Mercedes on the road not as nice.
Right.
So you have more cars that leak, more cars that rattle, more cars that vibrate, and more cars like that on the road are going to have a stigma against the brand. Oh, Mercedes isn't really that great of a manufacturer. No, it's because that they don't make it accessible for the technicians to work on them in an independent setting.
Right. It's like it's one
Which
of those
people want to
things-
pay. They want to save. They want to save their money, and they want to go to an
100%.
independent. And it makes it harder for them to do that, to maintain their cars. So you're going to have more cars on the road that are
Right. You
not
could call
as
it whatever
well.
you want. You could call it a monopoly, whatever you want. I feel like just from like going back to that real quick, the technician thing, as a technician, as a previous dealership technician, they kind of want you to feel like you're part of the Mercedes-Benz family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, all of a sudden you're cut off.
Torn apart.
So it's kind of like, ouch, my heart's ripped out of my chest.
Right.
It's like, no, you can't go to training. No, you can't get access to this.
Right.
You know, your D7's gone, right? Whatever. You know, obviously your training's still there, but it's like, so they kind of make, oh, you're part of the Mercedes-Benz family. When you leave, you can never come back.
Now, I would
It's supposed to
say
be family.
Right. And now, as I can say, as an independent repair shop, we are an independent service provider for Mercedes.
Right.
So we actually get kickbacks on a lot of stuff. So if we get a car that comes in, we get a kickback if I send it to the dealership for an airbag recall or an emissions recall. We get kickbacks for all that stuff. And a lot of people don't
Brakes,
know that.
whatever.
I have a Mercedes card for cash back on buying parts, stuff like that. Now, here's one thing. Scratch all that stuff. I don't want the kickbacks. I don't want the money back or anything like that. But this is a message to Mercedes-Benz USA. I need you guys to consider opening up the schools to the public and maybe even ex-Mercedes-Benz technicians. I think we deserve a lot more than what you guys can expect. You got guys that are game changers that want to mold young guys to join the field, and we want to learn. We want to continue to learn. And you know what I mean? And
Right,
I just
absolutely.
believe that they need to open it up. And we all have Mercedes-Benz numbers, so it's not like it's hard. We've already went through high school, college, the Mercedes course. We have Mercedes certifications.
Fully certified.
Right. You know, and there's no reason why they can't open up the course. And this is what I mean about trying to be different. It's like it's 2024 now. Things are just rapidly changing. Education, like everything is just getting crazy. And to me, by like, you know, cutting those people out, and what they don't understand is like this might encourage guys to go back to the dealership. You know, showing all the new technology, showing the new
100%.
cars.
Right.
And this is going to help the industry grow. I promise you.
Maybe,
so this is
yeah.
just my Mercedes. This is my message to Mercedes. 100%.
Right. It's a good message. You know, maybe exactly like you said, maybe someone in an independent shop might go back to OEM training and be like, wow, I actually missed the dealership, and they might go back.
Right. But
You know, absolutely.
like I said,
It
a
all
lot
depends.
a lot of guys might take this and be like, whatever. But this is where I always say, you got to really stop and think about what you're saying. Even if you work at a dealership, stop and think about if you left and, you know, you're upset and left the dealership, why you left the dealership. Think about that. And like, think about, a lot of people don't leave the dealership because they love the brand and they don't want to go anywhere else. And like, maybe there's one Mercedes dealership in their local area. That's why you see a lot of people move and travel. Like, that's why I did.
Right.
You know, it's like, for an example, if you want to go work at another dealership, like there's a couple more around here, but it's a travel.
Right.
Yeah.
You
It's
have
a
to
little
move
bit
your
of
whole
travel.
life, and you're gonna get similar.
Right. I'll tell you right now, I didn't come here because I didn't like the brand anymore.
Wait, that's
I
what I'm
came-
trying to say.
Right. I still love the brand.
Right.
You know, that's one of the reasons
you had
why
the
I came here. We only Mercedes-Benz.
Right, but
know?
you had the opportunity to work at other independent repair shops.
independent repair shops, obviously plenty of offers or whatever, because
Right.
it's a dying field.
Right.
Other dealerships, of course.
Right.
You know,
So I just think if you don't want this industry to die, Mercedes, you got to really consider opening up the schools, open up your education, and showcasing what Mercedes is really all about. Because to me, those training facilities is probably one of the best around.
best around.
Like I've
100%.
never been actually happy to go to school.
Same.
Never been happy to go to
Didn't
school.
like school until I
You
went
know,
there.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna actually go to bed on time so I can wake up on time.
Right,
It just
exactly.
didn't happen in college. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but that is kind of one of my messages that I want to relay out. We appreciate you guys watching the podcast. Really means a lot. Like I said, we love the feedback. Keep it coming. Listen, we're not like a 1 million view podcast, but I'm telling you right now, we really want to showcase what we're really all about. Like I said, we love all you guys. We love all the support, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you.
So
See you next time.